Hello, hello, hello. I'm going to do a couple of these because I know you like them. Primers. Somebody said, "Did David Bowie primer?" That was the David Bowie primer. Somebody said that in a chat, so I'm going to do a David Bowie primer. I don't physically own all his albums anymore. They exist on the hard drive. They're going to take me away. They're going to take me away. So I'm just going to rattle through them. I've got the old discography up here on the old Wikipedia, and I'm going to zoom through because there's a lot of ground to cover. So if you feel that I haven't covered them in detail enough, tough titty. We will start. We will start back in 1967 with the eponymously titled David Bowie album. Probably best leave this one alone. Love You Till Tuesday is probably the hit, but yeah, probably best. I wouldn't go back to it later. Space Oddity, 1969. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's probably the first proper Bowie album. Of course, you have the now legendary Space Oddity single. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, it's been reissued many times. That single. Yeah, it got to number 5 when it was back in '69, and then number 1 in 1975. God, blimey! But it was reissued 5 times over its life. There you go. But yeah, anyway, I digress. Space Oddities there, Rick Wakeman on the old keyboards. Yeah, it's an interesting album. There's that you've got a long track called the Signet Committee, which is this is where he kind of wanders into prog purely by the length of it, but it's a bit. There's a problem. A lot of it is unfocused. A lot of the stuff is unfocused. Wide-Eyed Boy from Free Cloud is on here. You hear that on when he does Ziggy Stardust live. You hear that. That's where it comes from, this album here. Again, it's not a bad album, but it's not the Bowie that we know and love. Man Who Sold the World. Now this is where things start to come together, and we start to see and hear that glam, the glam Bowie. It's not a sophisticated album by any stretch of the imagination. It pretty much is like a blues rock infused thing. Mick Ronson's all over it. Width of a Circle, which opens the album, pretty much dictates what the rest of it's going to sound like. Of course, it's got The Man Who Sold the World, which is a really great song, been covered. Lulu's version, or wasn't it Nirvana? They did a version as well, which is always great. And of course, the Supermen and Bowie's obsession with her Homo Superior. It's worth it. It's worth a look at that one. Hunky Dory from 1971. Now, this is a personal favourite of mine. This is where I think, again, Bowie realises that you can't just have an album of very samey material, and we get more melodies, more changes of pace. Opens with the now legendary Changes, Oh You Pretty Things, Life on Mars, Kooks, which I think is a lovely song, which I think he wrote for his son. And it's saying, will you give us, your parents, a chance? I really like that one. Andy Warhol again, Andy Warhol, Silver Screen. Love that one as well. Queen Bitch, of course. It's another great track. I really like Hunky Dory, and I think it's probably the one you need to go to first if you don't have any Bowie. If you're going to start out on the Bowie journey, Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust. I think I have reviewed this album. Surprisingly, I'm not that big a fan of it. I find it all a little bit, I do. I just find it a little bit. Maybe it's because it's the hype of it, and I know everyone goes it's one of the greatest albums and that. But I much prefer Hunky Dory. Of course, it's got Starman and Ziggy Stardust and Suffragette City. Those the hits. You got to check it out because it's kind of an essential buy if you're doing the Bowie thing. 1973, Aladdin Sane. Not Cobbler Bob. Oh no, it's Aladdin Sane. And again, it's a bit more of the same. It's very as much of the Ziggy persona continued. We have more, you know. This is it. This is when he starts to kind of get stuck in that cycle. You know, he got the Gene Genie, which I quite like. He does a cover of "Let's Spend the Night Together," which is curious. Time, of course, which is a favourite. Driving Saturday. Again, it's a good companion album to Ziggy. You know, it's a good bit of glam rock for you. Pin-Ups from 1973 is actually him doing a load of covers. It's his version, a bad cover version. It's all right. He covers the Floyd, See Emily Play. That can't be right. And the Who, Can't Explain. He does the Who twice also. He does any way, anyhow. You know the one. But my favourite track off of it is Sorrow, which I think is just a saxophone. I just love it. I just think it's a really great cover, and it's a really good song, like a lost song that he really makes. He really makes that on his own. So yeah, Sorrow, which is also the single. Can you believe it? But yeah, I really like that one. And yes, it is indeed Twiggy on the cover with Bowie. 74, Diamond Dogs. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. It's, you know, I'd probably, I'd go back to this one. It's got Rebel on it, which is all right, but I never really got that one. 75, Young Americans, a complete. This is where Bowie goes, do you know what? I'm going to change direction. I'm not going to swim with the fishes. I'm going to swim in the opposite direction, and he adopts. He called it plastic soul, but some say the Philadelphia sound or whatever. It is fascinating just to hear the Diamond Dogs and this back to back, because you go, wow, that's a change in direction. You've got Young Americans on there, and of course the great Fame, which he co-wrote with some bloke called John Lemon. Is it John Lemon? Is that right? But anyway, yeah, it's a very interesting album. It's not a favourite of mine, but it kind of hints at where Bowie is going to be going in the future. Station to Station, again, he's striking out. This is getting more closer to the Berlin albums. I get a lot from this one. The opening track, Station to Station, I think it's just really, really cool. I think it's a really good track. And of course, Golden Years, up, 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 run for the shadows. Just love that song. It's a good, honest Bowie album. And again, paves the way for what's coming. Oh yes, because in 1977 we hit Low. As I've said before, Low is one of my favourites. It's a personal favourite of mine. Bowie and Visconti working well together, and a certain Brian Eno turning up. Right, David, I want you to see what you can do with this one. La 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 la. You should see the animations; they're very good on YouTube. But yeah, it's a great record, and I love the way you have all the hits on one side and all the experimental stuff on the other. It's an album of two halves. I've covered it, so yeah, there you go. I really like that one. And then we have Heroes from 77. Visconti and Eno doing their thing, but here we have a certain Mr. Fripp providing, spraying guitar all over the place. Another strong album: Beauty and the Beast, Joe the Lion, Heroes, Sons of the Silent Age, Blackout, V2 Schneider, which is again a favourite of mine, and the instrumental stuff on that second side follows the same pattern as Low. Again, Low, in terms of favourite, Low just has the edge because it was first. I really like Heroes as well. really, they could have been a double album. They just, it's a really good record and an essential purchase, the same as Low. Then we have Lodger. Lodger is from 1979. Eno is still there, but no Fripp this time. Instead, we have Adrian Belew doing his best Fripp impressions. Again, I've reviewed it. It's okay, but again, you get the feeling that the steam. This again is just my opinion. Steam's kind of leaving the balloon. It's just it's the balloon's going down. There's some good bits on it. I love Red Sails and Boys Keep Swinging, Look Back in Anger. But if it hadn't have followed Low and Heroes, this would be a great record. But in terms of it's the poor anemic cousin of the other two, and it's a shame, because if you'd have put a few years between them, a few more years, I think it would have been a much more well received album. But it's not, it's all right. I know a lot of people like it. 1980, and then again kind of another change of direction. Eno's out, but Fripp's back. I mean, he does some great Fashion, which is the one of the big hits. That's Robert Fripp's guitar all over it. I was exposed to Fripp at an early age. Fripp exposed himself to me at an early age. That probably is the better line. So he's on Fashion, It's No Game, Scary Monsters, Kingdom Come, Up the Hill Backwards, and Teenage Wildlife, and it's very good. Pete Townshend's on here as well. I really like it. It's a really good album. I think I've done a review of it somewhere. It's got Ashes to Ashes, Fashion. Just a really interesting. Again, Bowie moving forward, he's kind of ditched the stuff, and I wouldn't say it's a new romantic, but you can see he's kind of heading in that direction. I mean, this album, well, especially with Ashes to Ashes, he took the best from the new romantic scene and ran with it, and that's why the cover looks the way it is. It's his slant on new romanticism, and very good. And then 1983, a complete change of direction again. Nile Rodgers is on board as the producer, and boy, do you feel it. A great record, Let's Dance. It's a great album. Modern Love, fantastic. China Girl, which is originally Iggy Pop's song. Bowie makes his own. Let's Dance, which I just think is... Not only is it one of Bowie's best singles, one of his best videos as well. Iconic, just... fantastic stuff. And then this is curious because you get I think it was used in the film Cat People. Bowie works with Giorgio Moroder, which is interesting. I mean, it's not a perfect album, but I find the first side is so strong I can forgive the failings of the second side. And in 95 they reissued it with Under Pressure as a bonus song, because that was recorded around the same time. So there you go. I did not know that, but yeah, interesting record that. 1984 Tonight. That's the one with the Gilbert and George cover, isn't it? I always get these mixed up. Again, it's. You've got some good hits on it. You've got Loving the Alien, which is interesting, and Blue Jean. But again, I find I'm losing interest in Bowie at this period. So for me, not one of his greatest. So you might want to, put it on the back burner. And then 1987, we have Never Let Me Down, which is a bit of a clunker. Yeah, Day In, Day Out was the single, if I remember. Something about a skateboard. Is there a skateboard in the video? Can't remember. Time Will Crawl was another. I think it was another release, but yeah, I wouldn't bother with that one. Then there's quite a gap. There's like a 6-year gap, and I Black Tie, White Noise. It's an odd record. Because he's all over the place. You got Lester Bowie playing the trumpet on it, which is pretty good. Cover of I Feel Free, which is okay. Of course, in between this, you've got the Tin Machine albums, because I just remember Reeves Gabriels is on this. He was on Tin Machine. So between that, in that 6 year period, you have Bowie going off with the Tin Machine, which I've not mentioned. I don't mind Tin Machine, but I think for a lot of people it was a bit of a shock. They're worth checking out if you have an open mind. So but yeah, The Wedding is an instrumental, I recall, again, which I think is about Bowie's own wedding to Iman. Black Tie White Noise, which is again he's doing like a fusion thing, which is interesting. My personal favourite is Jump They Say, which the horns on that. It's just got a really good hook. A great video as well. Miracle Goodnight, I think, is an underrated one, and yeah, it's a real mix of stuff on there. It's interesting. It's an interesting record, I think, anyway. Buddy of Suburbia soundtrack. Do we bother with that? It's got Strangers When We Meet, which was, I think wasn't that reissued? Did they reissue that? I can never remember, but anyway, yeah, it was on Outside, I believe. But Buddy of Suburbia, you don't have to bother with that one. Just skip it. Go to it later. Outside, 1995. Eno is back on board. Can you believe it? And we have ourselves a concept album. I have reviewed this. It is marvellous, marvellous stuff. It's got the Heart's Filthy Lesson, which was the single, which again was used on the film Seven, I believe, on the soundtrack. There was I don't know if it was a Trent Reznor mix, which is interesting. Hello Space Boy, which is good. The Pet Shop Boys remix of that is pretty cool too. I've not been to I've not been to Oxford Town, which is my I've not been to Oxford Town. That, if you keep your ears out, you hear that. It's in Starship Troopers, when the dance scene, when all the cadets are dancing. Listen out for it. I think I mentioned it in my original review, but yeah, it's crazy bonkers, and I think it's worth picking up because it's crazy bonkers. 1997, Earthling. I think I've reviewed this one as well. Blimey. David goes drum and bass. He's riding the wave. He's one of the first to really put drum and bass out there. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I love this album with a passion, because this is Bowie just doing something so left field. The drum and bass aspect of it does get a little bit tiring, but Little Wonder, Looking for Satellites, Back to the first few tracks I really enjoyed. Dead Man Walking's pretty cool. I'm Afraid of Americans. Yeah, it is just a really, really cool album. I'm Afraid of Americans was in Paul Verhoeven's Showgirls. There you go. I think it's a really great album. I like it. I know a lot of people don't, but I like it. Then we skip forward to 1999, Hours. Remember when I bought this? It had a lenticular cover. I used to spend hours just looking at the lenticular cover. This is where Bowie starts to get a bit bland for me. He was all exciting with the last album. This one, it's, we slipped down a gear. It's all right, but I think it's a little bit. And this is it. We have a run of pretty boring albums. Heathen was out in 2002. Again. Bit of a. Probably a bit better than the previous one. It's got Tony Levin on it, and David Torn was responsible for the guitars on this. Matt Chamberlain as well was on the drums. My goodness. you know, it's okay. There's some. I think Slow Burn was the one, if I remember, the one I liked. But yeah, and then 2003 followed up with Reality. I like he does a cover of Pablo Picasso from Jonathan Richman, which is really good. Full Dog Bombs the Moon. I enjoyed that, and Bring Me the Disco King. Which I quite enjoyed, which I think was a bonus track, but it was recorded 10 years previous, but they include it. Oh, of course, Nuclear Star, play on words, Nuclear Star. Quite enjoyed that one as well. Yeah, it's not a bad record actually. Reality's not a bad one. So, yeah, of the later period, I'd give that one a punt. And then we have The Next Day, which I have reviewed. Again, for Bowie could release any old rubbish these days and get away with it. I mean, when it came out, because it came out as a surprise, everyone hurled superlatives at it and went crazy bonkers. Yeah, I was happy to see Bowie bring out a new record, of course. Anyone's going to be happy, but you've got to, rein it back in. Yeah, there's some good moments on it. Next Day is pretty cool. Stars Are Out. Those were the singles. Love Is Lost. Quite like Valentine's Day. I'd Rather Be High. But I think again, maybe it's a bit of a grower. I don't know. I thought it was okay. It was okay. So that brings us up. So you can watch my full review of that. It's out there somewhere. So I think I did a live listen of it, didn't I? That was it. Go and listen to the live listen. So what do you need? What do you need? You need Hunky Dory, The Fall and Rise of Ziggy Stardust. I'm going to go for Low and Heroes. Scary Monsters. And oh god, there's so many. Balls. Let's Dance. And Earthling. There you go. Those are the ones you should check out. Again, the others go back to. You can. There are so many to get through. Or if you want to save money, just get one of those greatest hits packages and be done with it. Anyway, my name's Darren Rock. This has been my attempt to do a David Bowie primer. Alex is huffing and puffing there. I think he had a nibble, or was it a yawn? Shh. Anyway, only one more thing to say, and that's ta-ta.